You can already feel the tension as the session kicks off. At the beginning of the episode, Miss Anthony presents her case, asserting that Mr. Porcio initially acknowledged her pregnancy, but later denied paternity of her 8-month-old son, Matthew. This sets the stage for an emotional and contentious testimony that follows. Just when you think it's clear-cut, the story takes a twist. Buckle up, because this is just the prelude.
This is a case of Anthony versus Porcio.
Ms. Anthony, you claim you had a short-term relationship with the defendant, Mr. Porcio, who was initially excited when you told him you were pregnant. You are furious he is denying your 8-month-old son, Matthew.
Yes, Your Honor.
The courtroom is crackling with heightened drama. Mr. Porcio contests Miss Anthony's claims by stating she had admitted to relationships with other men during the conception period and accuses her of targeting him because he married someone else. Miss Anthony responds passionately, asserting Mr. Porcio has done nothing for Matthew. The stakes are high, and it's about to get even spicier.
Mr. Porcio, you say you've never taken Ms. Anthony seriously, and she herself confessed to sleeping with other men during the time of conception. You believe the only reason Ms. Anthony is pinning her child on you is because you married someone else.
Yes, Your Honor.
The atmosphere is thick with revelations and remorse. Miss Anthony admits to previously telling Mr. Porcio he was not the father during a troubled phase in their relationship. This admission illuminates the complexity of their relationship, characterized by partying and uncertainties about commitment.
I did tell him that the child was not his, but he was not in a very good place in his life. He was partying, and I was partying too, but once I found out I was pregnant, I put all those things aside.
Did you tell him he was the father at first, or that he wasn't?
Yes, he was there when I took the pregnancy.
But she told me that I wasn't the father. Her ex-boyfriend was the father, that she was pregnant before she met me.
Every word adds another layer to their stormy past. The judge probes deeper into the nature of their relationship, learning it was primarily based on intimate violence encounters without commitment or protection. This discussion includes evidence from photographs showing the couple together during the alleged conception period.
I was sitting at the bus stop. He walked up to me and asked me about one of my tattoos, and we just amazing when we were together. We didn't fight very much. We never argued.
Had mainly a party relationship with you. Like that's what our relationship consisted of. No, we didn't argue and all that. Neither one of us were ready to be in a relationship or have a child.
But it was a sexual relationship.
Yes.
Were you using protection?
No, Your Honor, we were not.
As the witness takes the stand, you can cut the anticipation with a knife. A witness, Michael Porcio, testifies, corroborating the claim that Miss Anthony had declared someone else as the father. This testimony introduces another layer of complexity, showing Miss Anthony's fluctuating statements about paternity.
But I was told from Miss Anthony herself, my husband had gone away for a couple months. I was holding down things at home. I was holding him down where he was. And I needed a little bit of help because I ran short. Called Miss Anthony. She met me down, in fact, at the very same place. Got a couple dollars off of her, whatever I needed to get from my husband. At the time, he wasn't my husband. That is the point where Miss Anthony told me to my face, the baby is not Harold's.
That is true.
Emotions skyrocket as hidden truths are unveiled. As tensions escalate, Miss Anthony confronts her past decisions and acknowledges her mistakes. The emotional dialogue underscores her struggle with motherhood and the decisions she made under pressure.
That is true. You have to understand where I was coming from as a mother. And it was wrong of me. The decision I made was not right in any way, shape, or form. But at that point in time, I thought that I was doing what's best for my child. I thought that I was making the best decision because he wasn't ready to be a parent.
My husband can attest to this. All I want to be is a parent. Like, I've helped raise my nieces, my nephews. I've been sober for 16 months now.
That's good.
Everyone in the courtroom is on the edge of their seats for the final revelation.
Mr. Porcio, you are father.
This is the case of Barron versus Bradshaw. Can you believe we're starting off with this firecracker of a case? The episode kicks off with the dramatic introduction of a paternity dispute case between Mr. Barron and Miss Bradshaw. Mr. Barron is here, doubting he's the father of Miss Bradshaw's son Ian, despite having shelled out support for the past 25 years. The stage is set, folks, and believe me, it's about to get even wilder.
This is the case of Barron versus Bradshaw.
Good day, Mr. Barron. You are here today along with your wife to result of a long overdue paternity test. You claim that Miss Bradshaw has been claimed you are her son, Ian's father, for more than 25 years.
You are here today along with your wife. Right from the get-go, the tension is thicker than a bowl of oatmeal. Mr. Barron and his wife are in court to finally get a DNA test result after years of financial drain and emotional turmoil. He's been supporting a kid he believes might not even be his. Strap in, because the emotional roller coaster is just picking up speed.
Has financially drained you by forcing you to pay for a child you believe is yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
Furthermore, you claim you will return to court to sue for $21,600 in what you say were fraudulent child support payments when you prove your paternity claim.
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Bradshaw, you admit you've completely confused your son. Ian, wait till you hear this bombshell. Miss Bradshaw admits to spinning a web of lies about her son's father's identity over the years, but still insists Mr. Barron is the real deal. This confession sets up a domino effect of emotional revelations and fiery confrontations. The fuse is lit and the fireworks are just about to start.
Ms. Bradshaw, you admit you've completely confused your son, Ian, by lying to him about father's identity over the years. But you claim you believe Mr. Barron is your son's biological father. Your son will join us in a moment. You are hoping today's DNA results will finally give him his full identity.
Yes.
Why do you believe Miss Bradshaw is lying about your husband being her son's father? Talk about throwing down the gauntlet. Mrs. Barron doesn't hold back, accusing Miss Bradshaw of lying about her son's paternity, which sparks an explosive exchange that highlights the intense personal and emotional stakes involved. The drama escalates quickly, and you won't believe what comes next.
Why do you believe Ms. Bradshaw is lying about husband being her son's father?
She's a liar. I've been with him for 25 years and I don't have any children.
How 25 years when my son is 25? We were not with him at the same time.
5 years. I've been married for 13 years.
Here comes the judge, dropping the gavel like a hot mixtape. As the argument reaches boiling point, the judge steps in, showcasing the high stakes and challenging nature of resolving such deeply personal disputes in court. Buckle up, because this ride is about to take a steep dive.
The guy that I was with.
Hold on one second. Mrs. Barron, I'm trying to understand from you. Why do you believe she's lying? I mean, this has been a long-standing accusation. Your husband's been paying child support.
Because she's a liar. She told him that it was his child. He believed it. He took responsibility for it, and then she blames 3 different men.
Why didn't you take the DNA test, Mr. Barron? You're not ready for this twist. Mr. Barron spills the beans on his initial belief in his paternity and his subsequent disillusionment, thanks to Miss Bradshaw's antics. This bombshell underscores the hefty emotional and financial toll the dispute has taken on everyone involved. The next revelation is a doozy.
Why didn't you take the DNA test, Barron?
Because I thought it was my child. Then she started cheating on me, running around and stuff, and I told her it was over.
What did you find out specifically?
Maybe 3 weeks after and stuff. Found out she slept with my brother. Yes,
She's
you
dating
did.
his cousin.
Dating my cousin.
Stay tuned. You took your son to the grave of a deceased man that you told him was his father. You'll need to sit down for this one. In a heart-wrenching and shocking moment, Miss Bradshaw confesses to misleading her son about his father's identity by taking him to a deceased man's grave. This moment reveals the deep psychological scar her lies have left on her son. And just when you thought it couldn't get more intense, there's more to come.
Did you ever tell your son that anyone else potentially be his father?
I told him what Mike was.
Yeah, he took her to a dead man's grave and said, "This is your son."
Miss Bradshaw, I need to understand. You took your son to the grave.
Yes,
the
I did.
deceased man that you told him was his father.
Yes, I did. And I was wrong. I was totally wrong for doing that.
You keep saying if he would have requested DNA, the judge isn't letting anyone off the hook easy, pointing out the missed opportunities for clarity that could have saved years of emotional and financial agony. The judge emphasizes the crucial need for honesty in these tangled matters. And guess what? The next part is even more jaw-dropping.
You
don't
keep
know.
saying if he would have requested DNA, but if you would have been honest, then he wouldn't have felt so confident.
I even told his mother and father why the father said, "I will pay for the DNA," because he knew that the chance that he might not be the father.
But he just said that he's certain that the child was his
Oh.
until you got back
Not
home
true.
and you were cheating.
Mr. Barron, you're very emotional as well. The stakes couldn't be higher as we edge closer to the truth. As the moment of truth nears, Mr. Barron shares his emotional turmoil and hope that Ian really is his son, highlighting the deep human element at play in paternity disputes. The verdict is almost in, and you'll want to see this.
Feeling upset. Hope he is my kid, and I just wish, I could have had a life with him.
He would never pushed him away. His mother always pushed him away.
Very emotional now, and you've told your story and you've admitted to your lies, said you've apologized. Is there something you'd like to say to your son?
I'm so sorry.
Mr. Barron, you are not the father.
Well, this is quite the opener. Mr. Johnson hits the ground running with a bold declaration that he's not the biological father of Ms. Kirby's 11-month-old son, Caden. He feels wrongly accused and stressed, eagerly awaiting a DNA test that he believes will vindicate him and smooth over the troubles in his current relationship. And just when you think you've got a handle on, wait till you see what's coming next.
Mr. Johnson, you are here to prove you are not the biological father of Ms. Kirby's 11-month-old son, Caden. You claim her accusations are causing trouble in your relationship. You are certain the results will clear your name.
Yes, Your Honor.
Here's a twist for you. Ms. Kirby steps up with unwavering certainty, convinced that her son Caden was indeed conceived during her time with Mr. Johnson. She lays out the child's health challenges and pleads for Mr. Johnson to own up to his role as a father, underlining the critical support needed due to Caden's medical conditions. But hold on, the courtroom is about to turn up the heat even more.
Ms. Kirby, you are positive your son was conceived during your sexual relationship with Mr. Johnson. You say your son struggled with health issues and you need Mr. Johnson to step up a father.
Yes, Your Honor.
You won't believe this. Mr. Johnson accuses Ms. Kirby of wreaking havoc in his life by trying to pin Caden's paternity on him. He firmly denies the child is his, which sparks a fiery exchange that escalates further when Ms. Kirby drops a bombshell that Mr. Johnson had reached out to her just the day before, much to the audience's shock. Brace yourself. The drama is just getting started.
She's trying to pin a child on me that ain't mine, and she's causing problems in my current relationship.
How am I causing issues in your current relationship when you just called me yesterday? What are you talking about, sir?
I'm not trying to keep up with you. I just wanted to know, is this really happening?
So you think she's trying to pin a baby on you?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have doubt.
Yes, Your Honor.
This part is a real tearjerker. Mrs. Kirby passionately refutes the claim that she's trying to trap Mr. Johnson with a paternity claim, emphasizing that her sole focus is to secure support for her son's significant health issues. Her emotional turmoil is palpable as she discusses the heavy burden of managing her child's health solo without the father's acknowledgement. Watch closely as the emotional stakes are about to climb even higher.
Ms. Kirby, I have to ask, are you trying to pin the baby on Mr. Johnson?
No, I'm trying to get my baby situated. He had health issues. I'm trying to see where it's coming from because it is not on my side of the family.
You're emotional already. What are you feeling right now?
Talk about a plot twist. An emotional Ms. Kirby recounts how Mr. Johnson had initially embraced the notion of fatherhood when they first met, but is now backpedaling at full speed, refusing to acknowledge their son. Her frustration and sadness are clear as she grapples with the absence of support from Mr. Johnson, who stubbornly maintains the baby isn't his. The suspense builds as we dive deeper into their tumultuous story.
We planned this baby. He told me when we first met that I was going to be his baby mom. Now that he's here, he don't want to step up. Either he step up or he step down.
And why do you have tears in your eyes?
My baby.
Yes, I told her that she was gonna be my baby mama, but
here's where it gets even more tangled. Mr. Johnson admits to having casually flirted with the idea of fatherhood initially, but now adamantly denies any serious intentions or responsibilities. This comes amid a heated debate about expectations and responsibilities. You won't want to miss what happens next as the tension in the courtroom escalates.
It was just talk. It was nothing like that. We only had, she's trying to pin this baby on me because she need help now. And then
I don't need your help. My baby's well taken care of. He's been taken care of for almost a year now.
Well, why threaten me with child support?
Because I know you ain't gonna do nothing.
Mr. Johnson, did you grow up with a father in your life?
I was premature. I was in the hospital for 6 months. While I was in the hospital,
my baby have issues.
Didn't see that coming. The discussion turns to the discovery of Ms. Kirby's pregnancy, a key point in the narrative. Mr. Johnson stumbles upon the pregnancy news via social media, which leads to a series of confusions and confrontations about paternity, initially denied by Ms. Kirby before she flips the story, asserting he is indeed the father. The upcoming testimony might just turn everything on its head.
Can you tell the court how you found out Miss Kirby was pregnant?
I was at this party and I was scrolling on social media and I seen her post something about she don't need help with her child. So I hit her up. I was like, "Are you pregnant?" She was like, "Yeah." So I'm like, "Is the baby mine?" She was like, "No." I left the party and went to her house. And then she flipped the script and was saying, "Well, yes, you are the father."
Grab your popcorn because here comes a crucial explanation about albinism from an expert witness. The court listens intently as the medical nature of albinism is detailed, potentially shifting perceptions about Caden's condition and its implications for paternity. The atmosphere is thick with anticipation as everyone braces for the impending DNA result reveal, which promises to be a courtroom blockbuster.
So albinism is a very rare disease. Less than 1 in 20,000 children have it, and it is the absence of pigment, both in the hair, skin, and sometimes eyes.
Through the mother, father, how does that work?
So it's both. Each parent, even though they look phenotypically or to the eyes, normally pigmented, carry.
And now, for the grand finale, hold on to your seats.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Johnson, you are the father.
Can you even handle this? Ms. Mackenzie accuses Mr. Guy of hightailing it out of there and abandoning her and their newborn, declaring that he's denying paternity just because he's already got a basketball team of kids. Mr. Guy stands his ground, absolutely convinced from the get-go that the baby isn't his, right when Ms. Mackenzie broke the pregnancy news. You've got to see what's coming up next. It's a roller coaster.
Ms. Mackenzie, you say Mr. Guy abandoned and your daughter, Anaya, soon after she was born, and denies he's her father only because already has too many kids.
Yes, Your Honor.
Guy, you say you knew this wasn't your child from the moment Ms. McKenzie said she was pregnant.
Yes, Your Honor.
What in the world did we just witness? Ms. McKenzie spills the beans on her first convo with Mr. Guy about her pregnancy, where he practically had a meltdown over the possibility of kid number 13. The audience can't help but murmur. Mr. Guy scrambles to set the record, swearing he only has 8 kids. Brace yourself, because the saga continues and it's juicier than ever.
So, Ms. McKenzie, when did you first realize that he denied he was your daughter's father?
Well, when I told him that I was pregnant, kind of like was shocked a little bit. Then she gonna be my 13th daughter. Like, how can I take care of all of them?
Her 13 kids, Mr. Guy?
Told her I had 8.
He told me he had 8. And then he said, when I told him I was pregnant, he said 13.
You're definitely wrong about it.
Are we in a soap opera or what? After the baby arrives, Ms. McKenzie paints a picture of Mr. Guy acting like a magician, vanishing after dropping her and the baby at home under the pretense of running an errand, and then poof, gone. She's left flying solo for months. Hang tight, because what happens next will have your jaw on the floor.
When did you realize your child, that he said, this is not my child?
After I had her, he was at the hospital and everything. When he brought her home, he just like basically set her on the floor in her car seat. He was like, I gotta go run an errand, and he never came back. So he just left her there, for like months.
You're not ready for this. Mr. Guy fesses up to dodging Ms. McKenzie's calls on purpose, calling her baby talk nothing but harassment. Yet, he's still sticking to his guns about the baby not being his, blaming his doubts on Ms. McKenzie's supposed secret rendezvous. The tension is mounting, and you won't believe what's up next.
Mr. Guy, have you been avoiding her calls all that time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why?
She was harassing.
Harassing you about what?
Baby this, baby that.
Because
I'm
she's
like,
your baby.
That ain't baby, milkman's baby, somebody's baby, but it wasn't mine.
Were you sleeping with her?
I was sleeping
Were
with
you
her.
using protection? So how do you think you're excluded from possibility?
Like when the baby was born, I was at the hospital, looked at the baby, I said, this ain't my baby.
This just keeps getting better. Mr. Guy dives into a tale about catching Ms. McKenzie in a car with another guy, which to him screamed infidelity. This only fuels his fire of doubt about fatherhood, given the shady scenario he describes. The drama's not slowing down. Wait until you hear what's coming.
One time, me and my brother pulled up. She was sitting in the car with somebody, and they was there for a while because we was sitting up there watching them.
What were they doing in the car?
I thought they was having sex.
Really?
Can I say something? That night that he's talking about, I called him and told me to come over to his house. When I got there, he was not there. So when I was leaving, my friend that lives down the street from him saw me and gave me a park by my house.
Hold on to your popcorn. Mr. Guy pokes at the nature of their relationship, implying that their flings don't mean he should step up as dad, especially with the murky details of fidelity. Ms. McKenzie claps back, spotlighting his zero contributions and dependability. You'll want to stick around because the twists keep coming.
One time I was getting off of work. They let me off work at 6 a.m. I usually get off at 7. I pulls up to the house. I looked at my phone, then looked back up, and there was a dude standing right there. I'm like, where did he come from? And I said, okay, well, it's an apartment. So he might have came out of any one of those apartments in front of our apartment. So I go in there and ask her, was somebody here? No, nobody wasn't here. But then week has passed. It's the same dude.
Who knew court could be this gripping? Ms. McKenzie's mom steps into the fray, venting about Mr. Guy's denial and his ghosting habits, leaving their granddaughter to grow up not even knowing who he is. She's had enough of his club hopping and disappearing acts. You definitely don't want to miss what happens next.
And you are Ms. McKenzie's mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Anaya, your grandchild is 3. What do you know about the situation?
I'm really upset at Miss Diane, my granddaughter. She really don't even know who he is. I'm upset with him. And I did live with them for a while. Goes to the club. He might not even come in for 2 or 3 days.
What's with all these disappearing acts?
I was stressed.
You were stressed?
Yeah, she's stressed.
Grab your tissues, folks.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Guy, you are her father.
Can you believe this twist? Mr. Moore passionately details how Mr. Taylor never recognized him as his son, neglecting him and leaving him in the harsh world of foster care after his mom identified Mr. Taylor as his father during a challenging time in juvenile hall. Mr. Moore lays out his life struggles, mentioning his inability to read or write, which he attributes to not having stable parental figures.
Mr. Moore, you claim you've known Mr. Taylor for most of your life, but he has never acknowledged you as a son. And he even left you in foster care. Ms. Everett, you say you weren't even introduced to Taylor until you were 5 years old, then you claimed it until you were sent to live with him as a teenager. But you say it went so badly you actually ended up putting yourself in foster care.
Yes,
Just when you thought it couldn't get more intense, Mr. Taylor counters with a denial of paternity, throwing in a birth certificate suspiciously lacks his name. He voices his long-held doubts fueled by the sudden and varied claims about his fatherhood over the years. He's setting the stage with his defense, but Mr. Moore is not backing down. Watch him bring out his own type of fireworks.
I honestly didn't know. And then all of of a sudden, he's your son. I didn't know. I did a little investigating. Do have right here, birth certificate. My name's not even on it.
Because I had another dad, because my brother and them's dad that I was raised up with.
Mr. Taylor, I have to say though, if you knew there was a possibility.
You've got to see this to believe it. In a dramatic display, Mr. Moore whips out photos to showcase the uncanny resemblance he shares with Mr. Taylor. He points to their similar features, chin, nose, eyes, as irrefutable proof of their connection. The courtroom buzzes with anticipation.
Excuse me, Your Honor, I got evidence that me and this man look exactly alike.
I'd like to see your evidence,
We've been looking exactly alike since we was baby. We got the same chin, same nose, same mouth, same eyes, same head structure, all that.
On the left, of course, is a picture of you, and on the right, a picture of Mr. Taylor.
Yes, ma'am.
And you see a striking resemblance.
Yes, Your Honor.
Just when you think you've caught your breath, Ms. Everett takes the stage. She recounts the sporadic and confusing moments Mr. Taylor popped into her life, each encounter more bewildering than the last, marked by neglect and absence. Mr. Taylor stands his ground, still wrapped in his cloak of doubt concerning his paternity due to the turbulent nature of his relationship with her mother.
Mr. Moore's mother is my sister. My sister told me that Mr. Taylor could not be the father of Mr. Moore, literally out of her mouth. Because I guess when she got pregnant, she was also sleeping with other gentlemen. She's always done that. And also I've seen gentlemen come out of her house.
Go to him and tell him Mr. Taylor is your biological father.
I can't speak on that.
Here comes the grand finale. The second round of DNA results are in unveiling.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Taylor, you are her father.
Hold the phone. It's about to get rocky. Ms. Graves declares her marriage is more than just troubled. It's on a cliff edge of divorce drama, prompting her to sue Mr. Baker for a paternity test to prove the paternity of their 19-year-old daughter, hoping it will glue the family back together. Brace yourself for the husband's comeback.
Ms. Graves, you state your marriage on the rocks and on the brink of divorce. You're suing your husband, Mr. Paternity Test, to prove that he's your 19-year-old daughter, Vanisha's biological father. You claim you're hoping this DNA test will fix your family.
And boom, goes the dynamite. Mr. Baker lays down his doubts, revealing Ms. Graves had hinted that not one, but two other gents could be the biological father. Oh, and it's about to heat up even more from here.
Mr. Baker, you claim you're not father because your wife admitted that not one, but two other men possibly be Vanisha's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Rewind the tape. Let's dig into the backstory. We discover the drama around their first daughter, where a DNA test showed Mr. Baker wasn't the father, planting seeds of doubt about Vanisha, the star of today's paternity question. Hang tight, the emotional roller coaster is just picking up speed.
We had a DNA for my first daughter. It was 22 years ago. He took care of her for a whole year. I was always honest. I always told him there was a possibility for her as well. You know, I was loose back then. You know, it is what it is.
So you feel like that's our problem?
You're saying 22 years ago you had a daughter.
Yes.
For a year he thought it was his biological daughter.
Yes.
You can almost cut the tension within. The court probes how Mr. Baker's lingering doubts and past DNA drama color his relationship with Vanisha, stirring the pot in their already turbulent family life. Guess what? The fireworks are just about to start.
Our marriage is having problems. Just like he stated before, he doesn't know how to love. That's a problem. Why did you marry me if you didn't know how to love? You should have got yourself together and came to me.
So you blame me, right?
Yes, my family is a package deal. You knew father or not. You know, you treat them, your stepchildren.
We're constantly blaming.
Let's dive deeper, shall we? Ms. Graves doesn't hold back, confronting Mr. Baker about his past lapses and current responsibilities, which he struggles to fully accept, highlighting the raw emotions at play. Fasten your seatbelts. There's more turbulence ahead.
I mean, we're separated right now. I went to my mom's house for 2 weeks to clear my mind. I have terminal cancer. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't even know how to treat me bad. He's not passionate. He cussed me out, you know, chemo, and right before I do the chemo, we're arguing, and my blood shot through the roof.
Blame on me, though.
Yes. Where's your compassion? I'm your wife.
Grab your popcorn. Here comes the big reveal.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Baker, you are not her father.
Buckle up, folks. This is where the circus begins. Judge Lake rolls out the red carpet for the drama fest known as Lima versus Scott and Anderson. Ms. Lima throws down the gauntlet, accusing Mr. Anderson of being the baby daddy of little Christina during their secret escapades. The stage is set for an epic showdown, and oh boy, you won't want to miss what's coming up.
This is a case of Lima versus Scott and Anderson.
Ms. Lima, you admit to making a huge mistake and hope doesn't affect your baby Christina. You had an affair with Mr. Anderson, who is married, and believe he's your daughter's father. Mr. Anderson, you say your whole life is on the line and your marriage, and you're hoping you're not father today.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hold on to your popcorn because this gets good. Ms. Lima drops a bombshell about how a harmless Facebook poke spiraled into a full-blown hotel affair. This confession unpacks the messy beginning of their entanglement. Fasten your seatbelts because the turbulence is just picking up.
Yes, Your Honor. It all started from a Facebook message when Mr. Anderson was messaging me on Facebook, started being friends online for about a year and a half. Then out of the blue one day, he called me and said, let's go out for dinner. So I was like, okay, I'm not doing anything, so why not? We went out to dinner, got a hotel room that night. We had sex. We planning a trip to go on a trip.
Just when you thought it couldn't get messier, the tension cranks up a notch as Ms. Lima recalls the jaw-dropping moment Mrs. Anderson stumbles upon the affair via Facebook. The chat explodes into a marital meltdown, shedding light on the emotional wreckage. Stick around, the next part is a doozy.
A few minutes later, Miss Anderson, she inboxed me and say, who are you? Said, I'm his girlfriend of a year, so who are you? She's like, well, I'm his wife of 10 years.
Really?
Yes.
Before this, did you know he was married?
No, I did not know he married. He did not signs of marriage or anything.
Was this true?
I'm just sorry, Your Honor.
Grab your face palms. Mr. Anderson tries to play it cool, admitting the affair was a knee-jerk reaction to a marital spat. His attempt to minimize the mess as a one-night whoopsie gets major side-eye from everyone.
Me and my wife, we had a bad argument. I decided to go out, take Miss Lima out one night, and me and her went out to, the hotel. I brought her roses, and, we had sex that night.
So just this night, or is Miss Lima's assertion that she told your wife she was your girlfriend for a year? Well, that's not one night.
You'll need extra snacks for this twist. Ms. Lima isn't having any of Mr. Anderson's one-night stand story and reveals their secret weekend rendezvous lasted 2 whole years. The crowd goes wild and the plot thickens.
How often would you see Mr. Anderson?
We've seen each other 2 years, every weekend, Saturdays and Sundays.
Was it strange to you that you only saw him on Sundays, or you thought he was working during?
Because I went to his house numerous of times, but
you went to his house numerous times.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson, where was your family when you was woman to your home?
Gasp. Under Judge Lake's stern gaze, Mr. Anderson finally admits their fling wasn't just a one-hit wonder. This confession turns the heat up in the courtroom as the truth starts spilling. The revelations are rolling, and up next, it's explosive.
Past just one night, that's a yes.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Anderson, I'm gonna remind you, you are in court. You need to tell the truth. It's time for you to lay it on the line. If you really love your wife the way you say you do and your family, because you got this young woman over here describing your furniture, and that's a problem to any woman for her.
Just when you think you've seen it all. Enter stage left, Mr. Scott, another contender for the title of Daddy. His sudden entry adds a new layer of chaos to the paternity mystery, complicating everything. The drama dial is turned up to 11, so don't go anywhere.
Miss Anderson, you are Mr. Anderson's wife. Has the testimony you heard today been different from the understanding you've had?
Yes, Your Honor. Once we messaged each other, I asked her for her phone number because I want to talk on the things that she was telling me. My whole world just caved in, like, serious. This
because
my
you all have
husband.
built a lot together.
Things get spicy here. Mr. Scott steps admitting he too was mixing it up with Ms. Lima during the baby-making period. He thought he might be the father until the plot twisted with mentions of Mr. Anderson. Fasten your seatbelt. The DNA reveal is next, and it's a wild ride.
Ms. Lima has told us she was also in a sexual relationship with you during the time she was in a sexual relationship with Mr. Anderson. Could possibly be this child's father. Are you clear on that?
Yes, Your Honor. Well, the situation was when I first met Mrs. Lima, we met at a gas station. Come February, took her flowers to a job site, had to eat on Valentine's Day, and then in March we had a sexual intercourse.
Brace yourself for this bombshell.
Is the father of 1-year-old Christina. Mr. Scott, you are not her father.
You just stay right here.
Hang on to your popcorn, folks! Mr. Harrison kicks off the courtroom drama by accusing Ms. Grant of tricking him into signing a paternity acknowledgement for their 4-year-old daughter, Aaliyah. He's convinced he got bamboozled into believing he was the bio dad when he wasn't so sure anymore. Just when you think it's all serious, wait till you hear the cheeky comeback from Ms. Grant.
Mr. Harrison, you are suing the defendant, Ms. Grant, paternity fraud. You've also petitioned the court to remove your name from the acknowledgement of paternity document for 4-year-old Aaliyah Harrison because you claim you signed it under false pretense.
Yes, Your Honor. Buckle up, it's about to get wild. Ms. Grant fires back, admitting she kept a side guy a secret, but insists Mr. Harrison really is the daddy. She's sticking to her guns, but there's a whole lot of side-eye going on. The plot thickens, and you won't believe what's coming up next.
Ms. Grant, you claim you may have lied about your ongoing, but you did not lie about Mr. Harrison being your daughter's biological father.
Absolutely, Your Honor.
Oh boy, here it goes. Mr. Harrison spills the tea about all the gossip flying in through his DMs, claiming little Aaliyah might not be his. is, Facebook prophets and text messengers stirring the pot big time. Watch out for what's brewing, because this courtroom is about to turn into a soap opera.
I've had several come to me through Facebook, text messaging on my phone, saying that Aaliyah is not your daughter. I don't care what, Miss Grant is saying, she is not your... Apparently, it's through several friends, that
they're
maybe
not
she...
in mine, Your Honor, if they're going around talking behind my back.
I have to say that person that gave me these accusations had no reason other than
You thought daytime TV was dramatic? Check this out. Ms. Grant drops a bombshell about her decade-long affair that's been overlapping her time with Mr. Harrison. She details this saga with the flair of a telenovela star, leaving everyone gasping. Fasten your seatbelts, there's more drama ahead.
You do admit you cheated.
Yes, I had a relationship, a man that I had met when I was very young. I met him when I was 18 years old. He was a good friend to me.
Mr. Harrison, when did you find out about...
I have to say, she had this affair with this person for 15 years. I've only been with her for 8. So this goes way before we were even together in the first place.
Ready for a twist? Mr. Harrison dives into why he's doubting everything Ms. Grant says now, especially about who's the daddy. He's been fed a buffet of lies, and his trust is as thin as cheap toilet paper.
Non-stop, the entire time. Because I've asked her several times throughout the 8-year relationship if she's ever cheated. Absolutely not. I would never cheat on you.
Mr. Harrison suing you.
Yes, ma'am.
Paternity fraud. Because he says he signed the acknowledgement of paternity under false pretenses.
Grab your tissues, or maybe your laughing gas. Ms. Grant admits she's been a fibbing aficionado about her loyalty, but claims she's kept it 100% real about paternity. The trust is shattered, the tea is spilled, and everyone's on the edge of their seats. What comes next? Only the DNA results will tell.
I'm to the point where we laid everything out on the
table. But you feel like it was all false pretenses, that she lied the entire time and set you up for this. That's what paternity fraud is.
Yeah, I did lie. I admit to lying about being...
This is your child? When you knew for certain that it was not his child, did you do that?
I knew 100% that she was his child because she was conceived.
Get ready for the grand finale.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Harrison, you are her father.
I told you.
You gotta see this to believe it. The plaintiffs, Ms. Love and Ms. Willis, are super ticked off at Ms. Karen Williams. They're accusing her of dragging their family name through the mud because she's been going around town saying their dad is her baby daddy. They want $5,000 for all this drama.
Ms. Love and Ms. Willis, you're suing the defendant Karen Williams $5,000 for defamation of character. You say she's destroyed your family name by claiming father cheated on your mother with, and this affair produced her daughter Stephanie, who you say is not your father's daughter.
Yeah, sure. No.
No way, it's getting real now. The judge has gone all out and ordered a DNA test to sort out this paternity mess. Everyone's on edge waiting for the results, and both sides swear they're spilling nothing but the truth.
Now, the court has ordered a DNA test. The results will be revealed. Ms. Karen Williams, you say you haven't defended anyone's character because you've told the truth about the affair, and the results of today's paternity test will clear your name and identify your daughter's father.
This part is wild. Ms. Love is finally dragging everyone to court after putting up with Ms. Williams' gossip for like forever. She's fed up with hearing that her dad supposedly has another daughter.
Karen Williams going around town telling people that father fathered her child.
So how long has this been going on?
I'm 35, so about 30 years.
And you're just coming to court today. So take me back. This is a claim for defamation of character. How do you believe she's defamed your character?
From the time I was about 6 years old, this has been going on with Miss Karen.
Can you imagine? For years, Ms. Williams has been popping everywhere, telling anyone who'd listen that she and the plaintiffs are practically sisters. Talk about awkward, and trust me, it's about to get even more cringe.
What does she say when she follows you?
This is your sister. Say hi to your big sister. We ain't her sister.
We not related to her. She don't even look like us. And I got proof she not.
So you say 30 years people been following you?
That she is my father's daughter, and she's not.
Have you been following them around saying?
No, Your Honor, I do not know them in 94.
Check this out. Ms. Williams is sticking to her guns, saying she hasn't messed up anyone's reputation because she's only been telling the truth. She's convinced that today's paternity test will prove she's right.
What I've told is true. This is his daughter.
So you saying in 1994, so when you were involved with their father, did you know he was involved with their mother?
No.
No. She lying?
No, I didn't even know he was married time I was involved with him.
So Ms. Williams, this is your daughter.
Yeah.
Ms. Williams, how old are you?
I'm 34.
Ms. Love, how old are you?
35.
Oh, snap. They just brought out what's supposed to be a love note from the plaintiff's dad to Ms. Williams. The plaintiffs are calling BS, saying it looks nothing like their dad's handwriting. You gotta see their faces. It's about to get even juicier.
And I also have, Your Honor, evidence that he wrote in my yearbook we was together.
You do?
3 days before his birthday.
Is what, Ms. Williams, your...
Mr. Willis wrote to me.
It's making sure we're gonna be together forever because I'll always love you for you. Plaintiffs and see if this looks like their father's handwriting.
Where? That whole page.
His name is at the top, Your Honor, under the sticky note.
My
It says
daddy don't
Andre
write like
Willis.
this.
This bit's intense. Stephanie Williams, the supposed daughter, talks about how her dad, or not, once came by to tell her he was her real dad. Then, a nasty phone call made things super awkward.
I was told by my father who my father was. I was about 7 or 8, and he explained to me who he was. I mean, reluctantly, my mother didn't want me to call because when I did call, I was cursed out. I don't assume it was their mother. Don't call here anymore. He's not your father. I was 7 to 8 years old. I mean,
Wait a
I was
minute.
hurt by
So
that.
you called the phone number your father, which
gave me.
Here's where it gets complicated. Turns out there was already a DNA test because of child support issues, which the plaintiffs insist proved Mr. Willis wasn't the dad. Miss Williams begs to differ.
I do not know anything of child support.
you never received the assistance from the state and you never received the child support?
No. Paternity test was taken. When I went there, they couldn't verify that he had been there. They told me to just do what I need to do. My daughter got scared. She threw up on me when they took the blood, so we had to catch the bus back home.
Your concern is because you went to the facility, the test facility.
Yes, Your Honor.
Talk about bad timing. The man at the center of all this drama kicked the bucket recently. And guess who wasn't at the funeral? Ms. Williams. The plaintiffs think that's mighty suspicious.
I'm here to find that's why it's so important.
But you wasn't at his funeral. You wasn't there when he got killed.
On behalf, Your Honor, the funeral was not a time for me to come and say I'm a part. I'm not messy. I'm not guilty. I'm gonna let you guys have
You desperate now.
their life. He was not in my life.
Your Honor, it was a woman pregnant before my father got killed. Do you know she was there?
Moment of truth time, the judge drops the bombshell.
It has been determined by this court. Miss Stephanie Williams, Mr. Andre Willis was not your father.
Told you. I lied to you for 34 years.
The courtroom's buzzing like a beehive. Ms. Boyer and Ms. Fields drag Mr. Sandifer to court to nail down if he's their biological dad, each sure they're the only true daughter. The tension ramps up as both women make their case, turning the courtroom into a drama hotspot. Just wait till you see the curveball that's coming up.
Ms. Boyer and Ms. Fields, you've both brought the defendant, Mr. Sandifer, to court today to prove that he is your biological father, but you each believe you are his only daughter and the other is not.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hold on to your popcorn. It's getting spicy. Mr. Sandifer throws in a twist by doubting he's the dad to either, but crosses his fingers that one might actually be his. This little confession spices up the emotional stew brewing in the courtroom. What's next? Oh, it's good. Don't miss it.
Mr. Sandifer, you state you do not believe either is your daughter, but actually hope that one is and one is not.
Yes, Your Honor.
Wait, did she just say that? Ms. Fields drops a bomb about her first chat with Mr. Sandifer on Facebook that went totally south, leading to a showdown about money and daddy issues. This reveal shows just how tangled their past is. And guess what? It only gets juicier from here.
About 2 years ago, I sent him a message on Facebook asking him if I could borrow some money. He responded with, maybe I need to find my real dad. He wasn't even my father.
I was upset, Your Honor, at that point in time because she just kept on aggravating me about money. That's the only time I've ever heard from her is when it was money.
You've never done anything for me.
What do you mean I have never done it? You the park, I carried you to fairs.
When?
You was such a small child, you don't remember a lot of.
Grab your tissues. It's story time. Ms. Fields opens up about her tough childhood, having been adopted by her grandparents because her mom was strapped for cash. Her story pulls at the heartstrings and lays bare the deep roots of their family saga.
I was adopted to my grandparents because my mother couldn't afford to take care of 3 children by herself. My grandparents stepped in to help me. She was working at a bar in a burger. She could not afford it. 3 children by herself. You didn't help.
Why should I help when I wasn't the father? I mean,
how did you know that you weren't the father? Why not get a DNA test? Why not do it then if you had to help? How old was I? I'm the child.
Things are heating up. The argument gets fiery as Ms. Fields accuses Mr. Sandifer of being a no-show dad, despite his claims of fatherly efforts. The back and forth is like a tennis match of emotions and accusations. Stay tuned because the emotional roller coaster is just picking up speed.
When I was 13 years old, January, my grandmother passed away. On my grandfather's deathbed, he specifically asked my dad if he would take care of me and my mom. He said yes. If he wasn't my father, why would
your
he?
mother found another man in her life.
And he took care of me.
So, Mr. Sandifer, did you date her mother? Did you have intimate relationship with her mother?
Yes, Your Honor. Then she come up pregnant.
Here comes Ms. Boyer with her side of the story. She steps up to bat, trying to prove that Mr. Sandifer is indeed her pop. This part adds a whole new layer of family drama and legal twists. And just when you think you've seen it all, there's more drama ahead that'll knock your socks off.
I'm here today to prove that Mr. Sandifer is my father.
I have proof otherwise, Your Honor.
You have proof that she is not your daughter.
My name's not on the birth.
Your Honor, he was in a relationship with my mother when I was born, and he lived with us till I was 5 years old.
This is a copy of Ms. Boyer's birth certificate.
Everyone's on the edge of their seat now.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Sandifer, you are not her father.
Oh, wow.
Buckle up, folks, the drama is just starting. The court session kicks off with Mrs. Kyler bringing a case against Mills, Gonzalez, and Tirado to finally figure out who her real dad is. Mrs. Kyler has been scratching her head over her dad's identity since she was a kiddo and is really hoping today's the day she gets some answers. The courtroom's buzzing and we're all set for some serious family tea to spill. Get ready, because this is just the appetizer.
This is a case of Kyler versus Mills, Gonzalez.
Beans about how she's been side-eyeing her family tree since she could climb it. She dishes out how Mr. Barros, supposedly upstairs dad, never threw a glance her way. Growing up with whispers from relatives didn't help either, turning her childhood into a detective show. Comes Ms. Mills with her version. She's dead sure about who her daughter's daddy is, blaming the whole drama on Mr. Barros for playing the ghost dad. She recounts a soap opera-worthy tale of love, betrayal, and a paternity test showdown in court. If your jaw hasn't dropped yet, keep watching because the plot thickens and the next bit is a doozy. But insists he denied being the father every single time. This bombshell adds a whole new layer of mess to the mix, showing just how complicated family dinners must be at their faster than at a dodgeball match, with Ms. Mills's past escapades under the microscope. This part of the saga dives deep into the emotional chaos that's been brewing for years. Don't go anywhere, because what comes next is guaranteed. Gotta hear this one. Mr. Milford spills the beans about his days in the military, getting zapped by radiation, which he reckons made him unable to have more kids. The judge nods along, getting the gravity of his no-baby situation. Strap in, because things are about to get even wilder.
Mr. Milford, you don't believe Mr. Johnson is your son. Your claim is that you performed police actions, air defense artillery, while Army, which exposed you to radiation, make it impossible for you to have more children.
Get this, Ms. Johnson is seriously fed up. She vents about how Mr. Milford was MIA during her pregnancy and didn't even pop by the hospital. She lays out how he didn't lift a finger to help with their son, emphasizing his ghosting skills. Buckle up, the roller coaster is just taking off.
He never came to the hospital when my son was born. Anything I needed for my son, Mr. Milford never provided anything. He didn't come see my son. I had 2 sons by Mr. Milford.
Yeah, she never told me she was pregnant.
I did.
She always told me she had a tumor.
I'm sleeping with you. How would you think it's a tumor?
She told me she had a tumor.
How would you think it's a tumor if I'm sleeping the whole time?
That he had a child with your cousin as well?
Yes, I did.
Now, listen to Kyrie's side of the soap opera. Amidst some fiery back and forth, he dives into the messy saga of his life, chatting about the whirlwind of not knowing who his dad is. He shares the ups and mostly downs of growing up without a dad in the picture. Hold on, the next part is a doozy.
Were you told that this man was your father?
At one point I was, but then I was told he wasn't.
You were?
Yes. I just don't feel I should be going through this because I didn't ask to be here. I don't know, I'm real hurt right now because I wish I did have a daddy because I probably wouldn't have been in much trouble as I was. Homeless at times, getting taken away, being in group homes.
Oh boy, here comes a plot twist. Mr. Milford is adamant about shooting blanks since '86 and insists he couldn't have fathered more kiddos post-military. He's all about his sterile years, challenging anyone to prove him wrong. The saga thickens, and you won't believe what's next.
I worked in air defense artillery in the military. Underneath radar, I got out 84. And I think I was sterile till at least about 89. I was knocking there with nothing coming back. Nobody else had babies. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
If you slept with them as much as you slept with me, it might have happened.
Which you believe caused you to be sterile.
I hadn't made anything. Nobody else came back with nothing. And her own cousins told me that I couldn't be the dad.
Everyone's on the edge of their seats now.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Milford, you are not his father.
That's wow.
Oh boy, here we go! The case kicks off with Miss Banks tossing some serious shade, saying Miss Hawkins is wrongly claiming her late son Daryl is the daddy. She's pretty sure Daryl had his doubts before he passed away, and their whole thing was a roller coaster. Miss Hawkins, on the other hand, is standing her ground, convinced Daryl was all in, and Miss Banks is just in denial. Buckle up, because this drama train is just leaving the station.
Ms. Banks, you say the defendant is pinning her baby on your son Daryl, who was tragically murdered before her child was born. He didn't believe he was the father, and you intend to prove that. Ms. Hawkins, you state Ms. Banks has no idea how much Daryl loved you, legacy Jasani, and you claim today's DNA results will prove Daryl is the father.
Next up, Miss Banks spills the tea about how Daryl and Miss Hawkins met. Apparently, it was a love at first like on Facebook that turned real messy real fast. They were the definition of it's complicated, breaking up more times than we can count. Miss Banks was even plotting a DNA test because, surprise, there were other ladies claiming Daryl was their baby daddy too. Hang tight, the gossip gets juicier.
I don't believe that Johnny is my grandson, and I'm here to prove it today for the simple fact that Jada and my son had a very rocky relationship. Me and my son were really, really close, talked all the time. I never knew of Jada really until right before my son's death. Jada met my son on Facebook, and she came and moved in with him the same day that she met him.
Dive deeper into the soap opera as the judge tries to untangle this web of love, lies, and maybe babies. They chat about how Daryl and Miss Hawkins were on again, off again, man, and whether there might be another guy who could be the dad. Miss Hawkins sets the record straight about the timeline, insisting the math adds up with Daryl as the dad. Strap in, folks, we're about to hit some major turbulence.
Daryl and I had a strong relationship. We were on and off. I loved him very much. He loved me very much. When I told him I was pregnant, he wanted me to keep it. We got back together and we started working on it.
When you were broken up, were you all seeing other people?
Yes, he was seeing.
And so if you could this other person potentially be your child's father?
No, Your Honor. I was only with someone else for 2 weeks.
Can you believe this mess? When Daryl dropped the bomb that Jada was preggo, Miss Banks was like, who the heck is Jada? Turns out she was just the latest in a long line of girlfriends. Miss Banks wasn't buying any of it, especially with a few other potential baby mamas in the picture. Just wait, it's about to get even more bonkers.
He came to me, he called me on the phone, and he was like, Mom, Jada's pregnant. And I was like, who is Jada? He was like, she's my new girlfriend. And I was, oh, here we go again. My son had a lot of girlfriends. To me, Jada was just another girl. Now she's saying she's pregnant. Of course, Daryl was gonna be like, he wants to have a baby. He comes from a large family. He has 6 brothers and sisters.
Things heat up with a fiery exchange about who really wanted the baby and who's trying to pin it on who. Miss Hawkins claps back, saying she went back to Daryl because another dude bailed on her. Insults fly and the emotional meter goes through the roof. You think this is wild? Just wait till the judge steps in.
I literally got back to Daryl on October 20th and he passed away October 21st.
And you were the last person to see him.
Yes, I was not the last person to see him. The people that did that was the last people to see him.
You're right.
She feels like I'm the reason her son is dead. That's how she feels. You're really the reason your son is dead.
The reason he's dead.
The reason. And you know that.
Everyone take a breath because the judge is about to try and calm this storm. She's all about finding out the truth for the sake of the kiddo, who might be left without his real dad or any dad at all. It's a heavy moment, folks. The anticipation is building. Keep watching for the DNA drum roll.
Once he passes, do you try to form a relationship with Miss Hawkins?
I try to form a relationship with her because I knew Jada's situation. She's young, I have a bunch of kids, I have a house. So I talked to Jada on the phone and I said to her, well, Jada, come on, move to Houston with us. I can help you better if you live close to me.
This is the moment we've been waiting for. Miss Banks is sort of open to the idea of being a grandma. The test says yes. The tension is thick enough to cut with a knife as they all wait for those life-changing DNA results. Trust me, the big reveal is up next, and it's a doozy.
Daryl passed away. This was the last thing that I had. This is the only thing that I have of him. But I'm so sick of you. Every time you get pissed, telling me who I cannot see. So I looked it up and I found out that I have grandparents' rights, and I don't have to kiss your little young behind no more. That if this is my grandson today, I can get me some grandparents' rights, and I ain't got to talk to you or be your friend.
Hold on to your popcorn because here comes the big bombshell.
It has been determined by this court. The percentage of relatedness between Miss LaWinda Banks and Jasani Daniel is 99.99%. You are related.
All right, folks, grab your popcorn. Mrs. Watts steps up to the plate in a tough spot. She's here because of her son, Alex, who's sadly no longer with us. He was tragically taken from us way too soon. And now, she's not so sure he's the daddy of Ms. Cheryl's little kiddo, Caden. She's called for a DNA test to set the record straight.
You are here on behalf of your deceased son, Alex, who was tragically murdered just a few months ago. Very sorry for your loss. You stand here on his behalf because you doubt the defendant's 20-month-old son, Caden, and you have asked for a DNA test to determine truth.
Brace yourselves. This is a tough one. Mrs. Watts gets this awful call about a shooting, and it turns out both her boys were caught up in it. They went to chill at a buddy's house who had some beef with some dudes, and bam, it all went south. The crowd's totally shook as she spills the beans on this nightmare.
Over the last 6 months, received a phone call, come to a shooting where they said that my son was involved. When I got there, I didn't know at the time that my other son went to visit a friend who had some type of altercation with some gentlemen prior to my sons coming to visit their home. When my 2 sons got there, they were ambushed and murdered.
You could hear a pin drop. Judge Lake lays it out pretty thick, talking about the double whammy Mrs. Watts is dealing with, losing her sons and not knowing if her grandbaby is actually related. It's a whole lot of sad with a side of mystery.
In addition to that absolute unbearable tragedy, we have a paternity situation where you have now had to live with the doubt as to this beautiful little boy, Caden, is in fact your grandchild.
Yes.
Now here comes Ms. Cheryl, all confident. She's sure her baby Caden is Alex's mini-me. They were tight as can be, she says, showing off a video that's all kinds of adorable, making everyone go, aw. Don't go anywhere. This emotional roller coaster isn't over yet.
The relationship was like father and son bond relationship. They were like two peas in a pod. I love Caden to death.
Miss Cheryl, you submitted a video, Caden and Alex, which you say show the nature of their relationship.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you submitted that to the court.
Yeah, because like you don't hear what I'm saying. I don't care.
Just when you think you've seen it all, boom, a text message bombshell drops. Ms. Cheryl once wasn't so sure about who the daddy was and texted Mrs. Watts about needing a DNA test. Yep, you heard right. This plot twist adds a whole new layer of suspense.
When it comes to Caden being Alex's child, to Alex, he didn't care to get a blood test. To him, Caden was.
My son had went away for some time, and before he went away, he told us was pregnant. I guess this was during the time that they were on, and then when she had Alex's, and she said that she didn't know she needed a DNA test. Sent it to me in a text message.
And then the plot thickens with a mysterious birth certificate. No dad's name? That's right, folks. Caden's birth cert is missing a father's name. Ms. Cheryl used a friend's last name instead because, well, she was hedging her bets.
Were you there when Caden was born?
No.
I didn't tell nobody when I was in labor with Caden, Your Honor.
Alex wasn't there either?
No.
No, yeah, and didn't see the baby for 2 months.
On the birth certificate, there is father's name listed. It's not your last name, and it's not Mr. Stewart's last name.
I gave him a friend of mine's last name only because, to me, I have a female's last name. I didn't want a female's last name.
Everyone's on the edge of their seats now.
It has been determined by this court. The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Lita Watts and Caden is 0.006%. You are not related.
At the start of the episode, the case of Percival Hansen versus Hansen rolls out. Ms. Percival drops the bomb that for over 3 decades, her dad, Mr. Hansen, has totally ghosted her as his kid. She spills the tea on how she's felt snubbed her whole life. Buckle up, because the drama is just getting started.
This is the case of Percival Hansen versus Hansen.
Ms. Percival, you say for the past 31 years your father has never been willing to accept you as his biological daughter. Now, Mr. Hansen, you claim you did not sleep with Ms. Percival's mother at the time she was conceived, and there is way she is your daughter.
That's right, Your Honor.
Things are heating up. Mr. Hansen fiercely denies being Ms. Percival's pops, claiming no hanky-panky with her mom when she was conceived. He throws in a twist with another lady about to storm in, claiming he's her father too. The plot thickens, and you'll want to stick around for it.
Additionally, there is yet another young woman waiting outside of the room claiming Mr. Hansen, her father. She will be joining us shortly, accompanied by her mother.
Hold on to your popcorn, folks. Ms. Percival opens up about growing up feeling ditched because Mr. Hansen treated her sister like a princess, but treated her like she was invisible. Mr. Hansen defends his honor, saying cheating is not his style, cranking up the family feud.
I feel like he's rejected me since my whole life. I've grown up not knowing who my father was, knowing that my sister, he accepted her when she was a baby, but denied me the whole entire time. My father was because he refused to take a DNA test.
Why is it you deny?
I was married with another woman at the time. There's no way. Me and the other woman that I was in a relationship with was having a baby, and I don't cheat.
Can you feel the heat? As another possible Hansen offspring and her mom enter the court, the accusations of Mr. Hansen's two-timing fly faster. He keeps batting them away, swearing he's been Mr. Faithful. Brace yourself because things are about to go off the rails.
When were you told that he was your father?
When I was 6 years old.
And from that point on, you had in your mind, this is your father. But he's never established a real relationship.
No, I barely met him personally 2 months ago at Teresa's house.
That's a 50-50 chance too. That story.
That's proven right there that you were.
I don't have a baby.
You won't see this coming. Ms. Villalpando, mother of the second challenger, takes the stand, hinting that Mr. Hansen might not be the saint he claims to be. The tension ratchets up as doubts about his character bubble up.
If they were married at that time, yes, because we were seeing each other often, and he went back to Tracy.
His contention is that he was married and he never.
I'll take a lie detector test. I would never cheat on Tracy.
It's your contention that he in fact was going in for.
Correct, Your Honor.
And he and father.
That's a lie. I was never with her after we split up after our first daughter was born.
Here comes the big showdown. The court buzzes with talk of a DNA test to finally put the paternity mysteries to bed. Emotions are running wild as everyone throws shade, with Mr. Hansen still playing the innocence card. Keep your eyes peeled because the truth bomb is about to drop.
He's always taking care of them, and I just always felt like I was never worth having a father.
No, you should never have felt like that. Why is this young woman standing in this courtroom set then?
I go over there all the time to her house, close to my grandkids.
He's 31.
Yeah, I
31.
know. How long did it find you? You were married 5 times. Where were you moving? All over the state.
This is where it gets real.
When it comes to the paternity of Ms. Percival, Mr. Hanson, you are her father.
Hold on to your popcorn, folks. Mr. Avant comes to court seeking a DNA test to confirm if he's the daddy-o of Ms. Hatton's 13-month-old kiddo, Jamithia. He's freaking out over the possibility that he might just be a father figure without the father part.
Mr. Avant, you petitioned the court DNA test to determine if you are father of your fiancée, Ms. Hatton's 13-month-old daughter, Jamithia. You're certain Ms. Hatton has been deceiving you for over 2 years, and your biggest fear is today you will walk out of this court out a daughter.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Talk about going all in. Mr. Avant has Jamithia's name inked on his arm. He spills the beans about his rocky romance with Ms. Hatton and how he's been in baby Jamithia's life from the get-go, showing he's more than just a weekend dad. But wait, there's more drama ahead.
I have her name tattooed on my right arm on the inside of it. I've been in Jamithia's life since she's been born. When Ms. Hatton told me she was pregnant, I asked her then, are you sure?
No, he did not.
I did too.
Didn't.
She stated yes. Who else would it be? And when we was living together, I started hearing stuff that it may not be my possibility. It could be somebody else's.
While shacking up together, Mr. Avant hears whispers, maybe from Ms. Hatton's fam, that maybe, just maybe, Jamithia isn't his. Ouch. This bombshell has him second-guessing their fairy tale.
Someone in her family told you that Jamithia may not be your child?
Yes.
Who in my family would say something like that?
I was told that it was a possibility. I also found messages on her phone showing that she was talking to her ex, telling him that they was going to be together. She loved him. So this is an issue because we're constantly going back and forth and he is thinking that the baby is his. And at the same time, you're telling me that baby is mine.
Okay, let's untangle this web. The courtroom turns into a math class as they hash out conception dates and due dates that just don't line up. Ms. Hatton sticks to her story, swearing Mr. Avant is the pops. The plot thickens, so stay tuned for the next chapter of Soap Opera Delights.
The other man that was involved, me and him had unprotected sex since September. The first time we had sex was in October.
Was the 11th of October to be exact. We had sex on the 11th of October. At that time, we did have unprotected sex. A couple of weeks later, Mrs. Hatton is saying that she's...
Mr. Avant was on the phone with me when I found out I was pregnant. He was the first person to know about it.
You won't believe this, but Mr. Avant points out the wacky due dates given by different docs. Talk about confusion central. This mess fuels his doubts about being Jamithia's bio dad and muddies the waters even more. And guess what? The Confusion Express has only just left the station.
That is so not true.
That's a whole 5-week window.
Not even true.
Wow, you got two different due dates far apart?
But on the birth certificate, my daughter was born July the 16th. Now, my mom said give or take days of it.
You have presented a calendar to the court that the first due date was supposed to be. It was to be July 16th.
Correct.
Heartstrings alert. Mr. Avant gets real about his time in the delivery room, coaching Ms. Hatton through the labor like a pro. This tearjerker moment shows just how tangled his emotions are, considering he might not be the father, and it's about to get even more emotional, folks.
Really, it was me that was coaching, Your Honor. Every time she would have action, I would tell Mrs. Hatton to push so we can go ahead and get Jamithia here.
First of all, this evidence you presented is the birth certificate.
Yes.
And she was born on the 16th of July. That's your proof. The conception date matches the due date. If we look at your calendar, Mr. Avant, you think that her revised due date is still the 25th.
Correct.
Just when you thought it couldn't get crazy, an Instagram showdown stirs the pot. The public chimes in on whether Jamithia looks more like Mr. Avant or Mystery Man, turning this into a full-blown paternity puzzle.
A lot of people said, no, they do not look alike, but she looked exactly like him.
She did, Your Honor, and as a matter of fact...
When they posted the picture, sitting at home on the sofa, he was like, hey, what you looking at? I said, I'm looking at this. I said, look at this. Look what he posted on Instagram.
And I spazzed.
Really? I told him to take it down. What he said is, Jamal shouldn't be so insecure when he knows his baby is...
The tension in the courtroom could be cut with a knife as Mr. Avant lays out his fears and Ms. Hatton vehemently claims he's the father. The crowd goes wild with support for Mr. Avant's raw honesty.
But there is a need to have a DNA test when you're not sure and you're telling other people they're possibly liable to be the father.
From the beginning.
But I was over the road late February, early March. I'm a truck driver to see her ex.
No, I
the other dude who's supposed to be the dad. How do I know this? Because I heard it from the cow's mouth himself. He called me and said.
So you didn't take the child to see?
No, I did not take her to see him. Him and his best friend came to my house.
Here it is, the big reveal. The DNA results are in. The envelope says,
it has been determined by this court, Mr. Avant, you are not Jamithia's father. I'm very sorry, Mr. Avant.
Buckle up, folks. We dive headfirst into the drama of Gynold versus Harden. It's the classic tale of paternity confusion with a hefty sprinkle of child support woes. Grab your popcorn because the courtroom roller coaster is just leaving the station.
This is a case of Gynold versus Harden.
Ms. Gynold, you and your sister agree that the man you've known to be your father is denying paternity. About why you've come to court today. One of you is hoping the DNA test will prove is your biological father. The other is hoping to learn he he is not.
Holy moly, wait till you get a load of this. Mr. Hardin drops a bombshell about forking over $90,000 in child support for kids he's not convinced are his. And oh, the plot thickens with tales of his partner's sketchy rendezvous. Stick around, the tea is just starting to spill.
Now, Mr. Hardin, you argue that you buried in child support payments totaling more than $90,000 for 2 daughters you don't believe you fathered. Furthermore, you claim that while involved with their mother, you caught her in several compromising situations with other men. And you believe it's understandable why you've always had doubt.
Tissues at the ready, it's tear-jerker time. Shani Ice lays it all out about how much she missed Daddy Dearest during her track meets and rainy days. Heartstrings are being tugged hard here, folks. Next up, Dad tries to explain his side, and you'll want to hear this.
15 years ago is the last time you saw him?
He would always say he was gonna come see us. He would just always lie. That was it.
I wanted this man so bad in my life. I played basketball. I ran track. All my friends had both mom and dad there. I had my mom. I wanted him. I watched through my windows and watched raindrops fall, and he wasn't there. He told me he was coming.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more soap opera-ish, Mr. Hardin takes the stage. He's all about blaming Mom for his MIA status, claiming she blocked his dad duties. What's coming next? Mom's fiery comeback. You don't want to miss it.
Their mother didn't allow me to come around them at all. There's no way I would not want to be around my daughters, Your Honor. Paternity test from day one. Your Honor, I've always doubted because I used to catch Ms. Gannell with several different men during the course of our relationship. I would actually come in, see men running out the door, caught Ms. Gannell after I had to go out for a funeral.
Gasp! The spotlight swings to Ms. Gannell, grilled on whether she played the field while playing house with Mr. Hardin. Juicy stuff, right? Keep watching because the courtroom's about to turn up the heat with some legal jargon jazz.
Were you unfaithful?
I was dealing with somebody prior to us getting together. Like I said, prior to us getting together. He was also in a relationship. When I first got pregnant, he was excited about it. He also, like I said, had another woman pregnant. She was pregnant a month before me.
Oh boy, at about Mr. Hardin tells a woeful tale of legal blunders and mistaken paternity declarations. It's a mess, with lost licenses and more. And guess what? The drama escalates with some serious document drama up next.
Just like I never signed any parental documents, no birth certificate. I was issued a court order because I was late in the initial court date as default. I actually took my truck driver license. I was a semi-truck driver before this came about. A truck driver's license is my livelihood. That I'm the father of 2 beautiful young ladies here, Your Honor.
You thought it was spicy before? Mr. Hardin's been begging for a paternity test. Like it's Black Friday and it's the last TV on the shelf, but no dice from the court. Brace yourself. The financial woes saga is about to unfold.
Hardin, so
yes.
You requested a paternity test.
Several times.
You weren't granted one by the court, but you never just personally asked or even asked your daughters to take one?
On availability, I didn't have the funds to get.
I told him I'd pay for a DNA test and he did not want to take it.
It never happened, Your Honor.
Do you remember her?
It never happened.
It's all about the money, honey. Mr. Hardin digs into the gritty details of his wallet woes tied up in court battles. It's a tale of financial frenzy that's just gearing up for the big DNA reveal. You'll be on the edge of your seat.
She got my checks every job I worked, so I don't know where they come from.
I never got anything. What is that you have in your hand,
Your
Mr.
Honor, I have evidence showing where driver's licenses were suspended.
Will you hand me that, please?
Where garnishments of my checks and everything, Your Honor. My truck driver insurance and all that. My CDL license.
No, I never did.
So I do see.
It's right there.
Feel that suspense? Mr. Hardin is all hopeful eyes and wishful thinking, looking to clear up the daddy dilemma once and for all with those DNA test results. Hold on to your seats. The truth train is about to arrive at the station.
Your Honor, my host today is initially find out if
that you're not our dad.
I am the biological father, Kiara and Shanice. I know that they're feeling, I didn't want to bring them here today with feeling good about it at all. I've been hurt the whole entire time. I just want a better relationship and I actually just to know.
And boom, goes the dynamite.
In the case of Gannell v. Hardin, when it comes to Kiara Gannell, Mr. Hardin are her father.
Okay, strap in, folks, because Ms. Schenk just dropped a bombshell right out of the gate. She claims that Mr. Robinson started doubting he was the daddy when their daughter, Serenity, hit the terrific twos. She tells us how this whole paternity drama is pulling him away, leaving her and the kiddo in a tough spot. The audience's awes say it all.
You claim that when your daughter Serenity turned 2, Mr. Robinson began to doubt paternity. Now, since then, you claim he's now breaking your heart to watch her suffer. Mr. Robinson, you state from the moment Serenity was born, you were heavily involved in her life and developed a very strong bond. Her biological father and started to pursue DNA tests of another man. You pulled away.
Yes, John.
Buckle up, here comes a curveball. Mr. Robinson lays it out for us. Everything was peachy with baby Serenity and Ms. Schenk until, wham, 5 months in, she hits him with the news that he might not be the father after all. Yep, she admitted to a fling with a buddy of his, and suddenly, daddy duties aren't looking so clear.
Up to 2 years of Serenity's life, I was there for her. And Mrs. Schenk, she was 5 months pregnant, told me that I may not be her father because she slept with a friend.
You said you were there, you found out Ms. Schenk was pregnant, you thought you were having a baby.
Yes, ma'am.
It was never ever mentioned to you that there could possibly be another father.
Grab your popcorn. This is the juicy part. Ms. Schenk spills all the tea about how she and Mr. Robinson were an item, sorta on and off, and then oops, one night stand might have thrown a wrench in the works. She's all tears and regret, hoping to sort this mess out in court.
She told me that she had slept with a friend of mine, didn't know if I was the father or if he was the father.
So Ms. Schenk, that happened.
Yes, Sean. When I first found out I was pregnant, he was there. Like he said, we were in an on and off relationship. Around the time I had slept with him, I did sleep with somebody else.
Oh, it gets wilder. Now, Ms. Schenk talks about trying to track down this mystery man for a DNA test. But guess what? He's as elusive as a cat in a yarn shop. This adds a whole new level of soap opera to the drama, especially since little Serenity thinks Mr. Robinson is her dad.
You made plans to have the other man?
Yes, but couldn't find him. When my daughter was first born, she didn't look anything like him. She looked just like the other man.
As Mr. Robinson was bonding with the baby, really stepping up to the plate as father, in your mind, you're looking and you're saying, my baby looks just like the other guy.
Yes, Your Honor.
And I need to have him tested.
The tension's mounting, folks. Mr. Robinson whips out a baby photo, trying to prove he and Serenity share more than a love for mashed bananas. Both grandmas weigh in, hoping to put a lid on this family feud with some good old-fashioned common sense. Don't wander off. The courtroom's about to get hit by a wave of feels.
I think that Serenity looks like me. I have a picture of
And this is, sir?
that is Serenity and myself.
How about you, Ms. Schenk?
I can say yeah, and I can say no. Serenity looked like him. They both have a prominent in the teeth. We don't have it in our family, in our teeth, and he and his mom do. As like I said, as she's gotten older, she's starting to favor Mr. Robinson.
You might need tissues for this bit. Mr. Robinson's mom pops up on video, pouring out how crushed her son was to learn he might not be the dad. It's a tearjerker, folks, complete with heartache and dashed hopes. But keep those eyes peeled. The big reveal is just moments away.
I think that Serenity may not be Jamaria's daughter because Brittany went out and cheated on Jamaria, one of his friends. When she gave him the information that it may not have been his, he was really hurt. I mean, he was crying hurt. Yeah, I did try to express to him not to get close to this child until he knew for sure. Did tell him that one day the truth will come out.
And here's the moment we've all been waiting for. Drum roll, please.
Versus Robinson when it comes to 2-year-old Serenity Schenk. Jamario Robin is her father.